So it appears to be because of how you walk, we're clearly watching an anime. Oh no, I don't have a medical advice, I'm not a doctor. But yeah, that and plus, also that's the sort of thing where it's like, if you read, this is sort of like how the sort of like main character does the detective work. It's sort of like Sherlock-y, which is fun because one, I don't know if it's exactly or if it's a similar vibe, which if that's the case it doesn't matter. But Sherlock was like the person who Arthur Conan Doyle. I think there's a thing that people have said, including if you read like History in 60 Seconds, where they say like, oh, but like he had a doctor who trained him, and he did the same thing that Sherlock did as a doctor, and he was like, oh, but what happens if he was a detective? That's not important. This is fun because of the mysteries. It's sort of like you get a mystery each time, and with most of them, I don't have much to say besides they're awesome. The only two I like is one in the middle of it and the end one. It is still going to legitimately take the whole thing because I will talk about the first sort of scene, which is fun. But yeah, let's actually get into that. So yeah, so the first thing I'll talk about is the first scene because do you know what order best to do this in? The order that you're supposed to want to. Okay, number one. Well, there's one thing that I think is really good with this. Well, that is simply the fact that in this, how they get introduced is you have two patients, that you have two doctors sort of talking, and they talk about this other character, and then the character comes in. Is it a small detail like, yeah, this is how you do basic introduction of character, like in the main sort of story, because you get introduced to these two characters, and then this one. Makes sense. He's with her in the same department. It makes sense of how they do it in that one. Alongside bringing up the mystery and that one, which is a good mystery. And I like the idea of everyone was like, oh, the doctor was doing drastic aggression, so they assumed that he was not doing it for no reason. Which is interesting. Like, legitimately, I'm like, okay, he was alive at this one. And then they're like, yeah, he was doing it for no reason. I'm like, I kind of assumed, like the rest of them, that he was doing chest compression to save his life and not do it to a dead man. Which is also another one. But the other two I like is, one, you have two mysteries in two rooms, which is one, three people who, weirdly, at several points in time, are getting injured. And the other time, in the other room, they see an angel. And I like it because what he had, like, there's a connection between her past and her feeling not as good, and it's really interesting because of that. But I also like the idea that they wanted to try and help them and did all these things, which legitimately got them in danger because of this. And obviously, I forgot to say this to the last one before I said it, but these are spoilers for a mystery, which is kind of a point up the show. But the thing with this is they do these things that they bullied him and they felt bad, so they stayed in the hospital by triggering some of their symptoms through legitimate drugs, which don't do that. Really don't. Like, I think in the show, one of them nearly died because the proportions were wrong. Don't do that. But what they did also, which is also what don't do that, was there was a small thing outside, so they snuck out through the window, sneaked through the wall, and did that. Which, I like this because it's one of those things where the whole premise is the idea of them feeling bad and them wanting to actually change, which I think is really interesting and really fun. And then the second one alongside that is sort of like trying to connect it and having her past be connected to this and not revealing it, because the reason why is to show hope to this other kid, because the kid is sort of like dying. Which, if it was for any other reason, I would say these kids are kind of dumb for doing what they're doing. They're putting themselves in serious danger. Well, not kind of, they're actually dumb for putting themselves in serious danger. But I kind of would take that back a bit when you reveal that they've got regrets, they've got decisions, and that's interesting. Was it a wise decision? No, but I would also acknowledge that they are kids, and kids sometimes will make rash decisions. Will I say that this is probably not a good choice, and the next time they probably should have like told us and we could have done something to give his spirits up, and maybe like the kid would have apologized, or we could have done something? Yes. Absolutely. Do not do that. That is dangerous. But as an episode, I think it's good. Again, don't do this. This is not me being like, and then making sure that no one sues me for spreading false messages. But at the same time, I'm praising this episode for doing something that I will fully admit is a bad idea. Just straight up, leave it on the head. Even though, like, this audience, adults. But, again, all of this is besides the point. What's my favorite episode? Is the 2 finales, because it's a locked room mystery. Because that is fun. The idea of, like, having a room locked and closed is so interesting to me. Like, how did this happen? How did this murder happen? Why did it happen? And doing all of these things to try and figure out who actually did the murder. And when you learn about how it happened, it's really fun and interesting. Definitely when you get into like the person who goes next and trying to like people who own stuff. I'm dyslexic, you know kind of what I mean. That's my fridge. So yeah, it's fun and it's, in my opinion, really entertaining because of that and because of that part of the mystery. So yeah. So yeah, again, besides going to each mysteries, which I have done with some of them, there is some that's like, okay, here's why I like this and this, about Black Mirror, I did that. But because of this, I'm not. Because there are some times I'm like, maybe not going through literally every episode and be like, okay, I'm in this one, and then this one, and then this one. Isn't great. Some I don't mind because with anthologies, you have that. You also have the character relationships sort of grow and develop and gain better, like, more, like, fun. Sometimes I'm like, I say stuff and then I forget what I'm saying halfway through the sentence. Yay! I'm a good TikTok YouTuber. Besides the point, this is good. Watch it. That's all I want to say. And now with something with full detective reasoning to something with a theoretical ending, which I don't know what it is. I still don't. This is a very confusing show. And yes, I am going to wait 1 minute to run out the clock because then I don't need to reach over and I can just wait. Does this make sense? No. But for me showing the show, which still I'm debating, not if it's good or bad, but again, next time, but what the ending meant. I think it's better. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this video, and yeah, I hope you like, and good night.